Hey everyone, it's your Tuesday night motivation. It is your shot of personal improvement, leadership, and faith. Yes, I am talking about Litvak Leadership Live. We are here tonight. Have my good friend Randy Chaffee, who's going to join us in a minute. Got a great topic this evening. But before we go any further, got to throw this up to begin with. If you have not liked Litvak Leadership on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, did I name them all? And Twitter. Twitter's a little more political, but for those of you who like that, like me, you'll love the Twitter. Check me out there, hit like, ring the bell, so when I go live or post something, you are notified. We are building a movement here of personal improvement, leadership, and faith, the intersection of all of those. So I would love to have you be part of it. This evening, we're going to be talking about living a life of discretion, transparency, and moderation with my good friend, and here he is, Randy Chaffee. What's going on, Randy?
Hey, what's up, brother? What's going on, man?
It is great. It's a great, great day. Now, every time I lean back, as we were talking about, I'm standing and you're sitting, I'm like going to be self-conscious of it.
What? But once we went off camera for a minute, I moved my chair because I had this weird thing.
Up?
Well, yes, because I wanted to match the host, but more importantly, I have a chair that my feet don't touch anything. So I sat there like a little kid on a stool, in church or something. And hey, Tim Lord, look at that shark! I love it.
There we go.
But anyway, so I'm standing again. So if I get to wandering and moving, that's just because I'm a perpetual motion kind of guy. So
I get it. I get it. And hey, everyone, as Randy and I are chatting here about this topic, please, like Tim did, jump in, post a comment, hit like. Would love to see some engagement from everyone who is watching. If you don't know Randy, you can connect with Randy at ibuyfromrandy.com. Randy, why don't you tell everyone what you do outside of building wins and your appearances on Litvak Leadership Live?
Well, I'm a rep. I have a rep agency, Sean. So we rep manufacturers in the metal roofing and post frame and metal building industry. We cover about I think it's about 15 states, plus and minus, different products, different states. But for the bulk of it's 15 states, pretty much Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, New York, and New England. And so it's building materials that go into those industries. My target customer is the metal roofing manufacturers, and I supply them a myriad of components. And been doing that for 4+ decades.
Wow.
I
very
use 4+.
Well known in the industry.
I am. I like to pretend that's because I'm so incredibly great, but it's probably just that I've been around so long. It's just like that old guy that they just see for the last 30 years, 40 years, right? But I've been doing it forever.
As long as you're opening the door and letting you in, that's what's important.
That's it. And it's one of those things that people ask me once in a while, when are you going to stop? And I said, why in the world would I do that? I love what I do and do what I love. So yeah. There's no reason to stop.
Absolutely. So this evening, Randy, we're going to be talking about, and, set you some notes, sent you some ideas, but, as someone in sales like me, someone who travels, living the life of discretion, transparency, and moderation. And I know you're a real out there guy. I'm going to throw out something from Proverbs. I want you to comment on it, and we'll leap from there. Proverbs 6, verse 2. You are snared with the words of your mouth. You are taken with the words of your mouth. How do you think that relates to discretion, transparency, and moderation?
Oh, I think it nails it heads on. You couldn't have come up with a better statement than that, to be honest. Because when we're out there, we are what we talk about, right? We talk about that a lot. We are what we talk about, what we think about, who we associate with, and and man, when it's stuff that comes out of your mouth, people take that as gospel, if you will, right? It's who you are and what you are, and I think you have to be careful whoever you are, but especially if you're doing things like you and I do, Sean, in sales, and
Mhm.
as you know, I'm a podcaster also. Uh, when we do those kind of things, that stuff doesn't go away when you go stupid, right? And so I
No,
think you have to be careful about what comes out of your mouth and what you say, because I think also you know the worst person to hear it is yourself. You hear
yes,
it over and over, and you start listening to that, and you start believing that. Other people may forget it, right? They might, yeah, we think we're more important than we are at times, right? And we think everybody's hanging on every word we say,
right.
but we are hanging on every word we say, right?
Well, and have you ever found yourself, and sad to say, I have found myself in this situation a few times in my career where I was so enamored with what I was saying because I thought it was so brilliant. I went on a little bit longer than I should have, and I probably said some things I shouldn't have said. Have you ever had that
Oh,
experience?
about every day. Yeah, it's easy to do because you know, as a sales guy in general, I think we that's one of the big things we have to guard against, right? Is we talk too much and listen too little, and
Sure.
it's easy to run our mouths and we think we got all this stuff to say. And from a sales standpoint, very little of what we have to say is that important. It's what the customer has to say, right? It's what they're telling us, what their problems are, what their issues are, and it's hard. And is any new young, and I say new as in whether by just how long they've been a sales guy
Right.
or just in age generally, uh, the hardest thing to do is just to shut up, just talk a little less and just listen to what people have to say. But yeah, I in my younger years, uh, and I know this will be hard to believe anybody that knows me because I still talk a lot, but uh, I would talk for hours. I think sometimes that felt like,
Sure.
and I wasn't listening to anything, and I realized over time that I have no idea when I got done with this person anything about them or what they want, what they need, because I wasn't listening.
Yeah.
And and I think we do that in personal relationships, right? We do it in personal with friends, with family. I'll admit, Dixie chick, my wife, the Dixie chick as I call her, uh, she'll tell me all the time, "You weren't listening, are you?" Yeah, I am. Yeah, I really wasn't. I know I wasn't after the fact, you know. Yeah.
Been there, done
Yeah.
that.
Yep. I had one the other day, Sean, where usually I can pick enough. I listen to just enough that I can, and I'm smart enough and sharp enough and been around long enough that I can fake it.
Float through it.
I had one the other day where I go, I did too. You got me. I got nothing.
Got
I got nothing.
nothing to say.
You're right.
So,
I just
some people will say that, um, I've always been this way. I can't change. And I say, if COVID has taught people anything, they can change. You can definitely live that life of discretion, transparency, moderation, and listening. As you're talking about, you're just one decision away from doing that. What was there a catalyst moment in your career, either professionally or personally, where you said, I need to reel it in a little bit?
there probably was two. It probably was semi-gradual 15, 18 years ago when I realized, and I know that a couple of people said, boy, you talk a lot. And I just thought they was, but then I just thought they were just making fun sort of lightly. But the more I thought about it, I understood that maybe they're right. Maybe I need to rethink how I approach this. But then fast forwarding to about what 2.5 years ago or so, in going into the heart of the lockdown, the COVID thing, that's where I really, as I had the time to quit running, because that's all I did. The old
Right.
the old road warrior part of me, to become more of a hybrid road warrior. Um, I really started figuring out that there's a whole lot of ways to force multiply what you do, and one of those is the more I started doing things like guesting on your show and things, having my own show, I learned that, man, you just you need to talk less and listen more. And hosting a show, Sean, has helped me a lot because I have to be cognizant. I want to be cognizant of asking questions like you do. You're great at what you do. And
Well,
then
thank you.
just be quiet and listen. And I was forced to do that. And I think that's been a good thing. And so, yeah, I think that it happened probably many years ago, a couple decades ago, when I realized that I was maybe 20 years into my sales career and thought I knew it all, and just wanted to expound upon all my great wisdom and knowledge, and tell you what you needed. When the reality is, I need you, Sean, to tell me what you want, what your problems are. How can I sell you? Because if I listen long enough, you'll tell me, right? Always.
Exactly. Absolutely. Do you think that COVID has taught people to listen better, to listen more, since for so long people were just on video like this, as opposed to being in a room? So I guess what my question is, do you think people tend to interrupt each other more when they're in each other's presence or on video?
I've seen it both, but I tend to feel, from my experience has been, because so many people, probably the more experience you have on video, whether it's on Zoom, on Teams, or doing shows like this, the
Right.
more you do this kind of stuff, the better you get at Zooms and Teams and those things, because you understand that I'm looking at you now, and when you're talking, if I see you're talking, I'm going to be quiet till you're done talking. I think that people that don't do it a lot still may fall into the old way of doing it in person. But I think, to answer your question generally, I think in person people are much faster to interrupt, to hold on a second, and I think, yeah, I think in person it's more so. I think the virtual part of our life that everybody's learned to some degree, right,
Right.
over the last 3 years, 2.5 years, I think it's probably, made many people better listeners, I think.
I'd like to hope so. I'd like to
You'd
hope
hope.
so.
Because there's
Um,
nothing more frustrating, right, than you're in the middle of a sentence, and somebody like, well, hold it, so on. Well, you probably would have heard that if you'd have been quiet for 3 more seconds, right?
Absolutely. So, do you think that that is a matter of youthfulness, training, childishness here? When I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, and I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. Um, I don't necessarily, I think it would be great if more people embraced this scripture, because we would have a lot less social media stupidity and wars. And I say that as someone who posts a lot,
Yep.
social media arguments, because I have been known to post politically, which some people have not liked, because look, there's lots of parts of politics. And I have to use discretion when I decide to go political on social media. So, what say you about putting away childish things?
Oh, I think that's a great point, and I think we all by nature never fully outgrow the childish nature of ourselves, and arguably, as two men, we're probably worse than women to some degree. I think we have a hard time putting that away, and so I think that you do have to, and that's a learned event, right? You have to learn that, okay, I'm a man now. I'm a 40, 50, 60, whatever it is, year old man, and
Right.
I got to kind of man up a little bit and do this the right way. That's a little more acceptable, maybe an acceptable norm in society, right? I got to do these things the right way, and to be right. because I think if left to our own devices, sometimes we all think our own attitude, our own opinions, what we want to talk about is the only thing that matters. And unfortunately, and especially in any kind of relationship, right? It's if we focus, I think I've found, and it's hard for me. This is not my by nature, but if I try to remember to focus on whoever I'm talking to, and it really is more important to hear what their side, their vision, their ideas are than to expound mine. Because if I want to
Yes.
expound mine, I have a pulpit for that, which is called a show. I have a pulpit for that, which is called social media, right? I have a
Right.
pulpit for that when I speak at a training thing, right? But outside of that, you and I sitting chatting as a customer or relation, friends, brothers, buddies, pals. I need to learn to be quiet a little more and listen. And that's a challenge for guys that like to talk and but yeah, I think we to answer your original question, I feel like we're better post COVID, if you want to call it. I guess that's where we're at. Than we were going into it and during it. I think in most cases.
If Eric, if Randy is 92 years old, I am ready and looking forward to being 92 years old if I can look like that.
Oh,
Absolutely.
oh, the BAM. You know, and
Damn.
you know what? He just hates to admit it, but I know secretly he's a lover of pineapple on pizza. He won't admit it.
Chopped up all
Chopped
over the
up, all over, like
all over.
double,
So
triple pineapple.
so you talked about how people behave, and it's taken me a while to realize that behavior is a reflection of self-image. That people, when they maybe have a little bit of power and authority, may push it, and it's really because they're insecure. Um, but an individual's self-image, I think, can change over time. And I think so many people allow the past to keep them from changing. They're like, well, I did that and I did that, and I'm not going to get over it. Yet I know everyone can get over things because I've gotten
Mm-hmm.
over things. Are there any things you can share from your past that you've gotten over where you've made what at the time seemed like a stupid mistake?
Well, yeah, I think the probably we kind of touched on it. Um, uh, uh, Luckily, I haven't made a lot of really gigantic, earth-altering mistakes. I've made thousands of dumb little ones that keep piling on. Right? It's like, well, what'd you do that for,
Absolutely.
you big dummy? But I I think I think you have to be you have to look inwards, look at yourself, and analyze. I will analyze. Uh, and going back where a lot of my life is in the sales world, I
Hmm.
analyze or debrief myself, sometimes only briefly. But when I get back in the car or I get off the phone or I get off of Zoom or Teams or whatever, I like to debrief. How did it go? This might be like a 20-second deal. I mean, I'm not saying big long
Absolutely.
term. How did it go? Great. Why did it go great? Not so good. Why? Awful. Why? And I always look at it from a standpoint of what could I have done better? Because I can't change what you do. I can't change what anybody else does, but I can change. How did I respond? How did I accept what they had to say? And so I think it's important to self-analyze, not beat up. I learned years ago to stop beating myself up. If I make a mistake, I screw up, I am incredibly quick to forget it and forgive myself. I try to learn from it
Learn from it.
and
I was just going to say.
say, okay, well, probably hadn't ought to say that next time because that was pretty stupid. But then I'm done, right? We're going to move on to positive because I like to live, and I think that's important. I like to live in a world of positivity, and I need to get rid of any negative very quickly. And
It sounds
and
like the pineapple pizza eater agrees with you.
he does. I like that. I like that. I think we shared pineapple pizza in Tulsa one time. He won't admit it either. So, but but yeah, it's easy to continue to beat yourself up, and
Hmm.
I think all the beating you do on yourself is probably 100x more than anybody else is doing, even if you were just made a lot of mistakes on this Zoom call or this team call or in person or whatever it is, believe it or not, we're not that important to anybody there that they're going to remember that forever. It's probably by the time they go to the bathroom and grab a coffee, they've sort of already forgot about it. So
Right.
we need to not think we're so all powerful and important that they're going to be thinking about what did Randy or Sean do, Eric did for the next 4 years, because they're not. It's going to be over, and we need to let it be over. And I like the concept of building wins, right? So if you take a loss,
Right.
and you extract from it some good, and the good could simply be, okay, I just blew that deal completely, maybe, but I learned this, this, and this. Those are wins, right? Take those, put them on the win pile, toss that thing away, and go. You just got to go, because if you don't, you can have a win pile, that's
Right.
good, but you can also have a loss pile, and you don't want a loss pile. You got to throw them on the win
On the
pile.
lost pile.
Yep.
You could have an I learned something from that pile.
Right.
But if it's just a pile about being losses, then
Yep.
you've learned nothing from it.
Exactly.
So when you think about this, and you hear people talk about imposter syndrome, and I really fluctuate back and forth on, is imposter syndrome real, or is it just having moments of self-doubt? Then I look at scripture like this one here, that we're all created in Christ Jesus for good works. How can people have experienced imposter syndrome yet be made in the image of God and be his good workmanship?
Well, because I don't think I think we're given the ability to be good, and we're given the ability to be bad, and we make those choices in most cases, and I think we're allowed to make those choices.
Absolutely.
And so it really comes, if you're an imposter, does it come from maybe lack of self-confidence, lack of a good self-image? I think it may. I want to be something I'm not. But if you can develop and live a life from whether it's work related, spiritually, family, health and fitness, whatever it is, if you can live a life that you're just going, I'm pretty doggone proud of who I am. I'm pretty happy with who I am.
Yeah.
You no longer have to be an imposter, because you know what? Randy Chaffee's pretty okay, right? And if I'm happy with who I am, that's kind of okay. That's kind of okay, because I kind of think that if I'm not doing anything really really wrong, morally, ethically, um, then I think the big guy's going to probably look it down and say, you're probably doing okay, dude. Right? That's the way I see it. See, that's the
Well,
way I talk to him. We got a relationship. He's dude, and we're okay with that.
he's dude, and you're okay with that. What about when people want to change? Um, what should they be feeding themselves to put their mind, their will, and their emotions in the right place so they can live that life of discretion, transparency, and moderation?
Well, I think the first thing, Sean, is whatever it is in life. It's something that I say it all the time. I wish I'd have coined it, but I didn't. But I've always been looking to see who actually did, because if I can't, someday I may claim it as my own because I like it. But live what you do and do what you love, right? And if you're doing that in all aspects of your life, I think it becomes easy then to not be an imposter. It becomes easy to just be who you are, because you're now doing the things that you love. If what that means then is that you associate. We said earlier, you associate yourself with good people. You disassociate from people that are bad for you. Because we're going to be who are, what was that theory? You become the 5 people you're around the most, or the 6
Exactly.
people that, and I've I have I have backed away, maybe not fully cut them out if they're people that I can't cut out, but I back fully away, a long ways away, from people that can't be anything but negative about everything all day long. Because I don't care how positive you are, and I'm about as positive a guy as you can get, but man, if you're around that all day long, you start picking up traits, right? And you start bellyache. And one thing I hate more than anything is to sit in a meeting or sit in like a trade show in a pub having a pint of Guinness or something, and everybody wants to start blah, 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 how much they hate this, they hate that, they hate this. Well, before you know it, you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And then you realize, okay, I might not like this little thing. It's like I talked about, I think the other day, it might have with somebody, 20 minutes of suck doesn't make for a crap life. It just means it's 20 minutes of suck, right? That's all. And I think so many people, if they don't resolve or keep themselves in an area of positivity, 20 minutes of suck becomes another 20 minutes, and then it becomes 5 days, and then it becomes 5 weeks, and then pretty soon their life sucks, right? And
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, that's it.
Well, and I was going to say, when people are allowing themselves to vent, okay, and like you brought up a great point earlier about hearing yourself. I'm going to connect this to the sales world that it can take months, even years, to gain a customer. How long does it take to lose that customer?
Oh, I'm a believer in incrementalism, Sean. So, but with that said, it could be that quick if you really, really, really do something very stupid, right?
Grievous.
Whether it's something, yeah. If you do something grievous is a great word. You're with a good relationship with a customer, a missed order or a delayed order, those things, as long as you communicate and you do the stuff you're supposed to do, that's probably not going away for that.
Right.
Incrementally, it may if you do it 17 times over the last 3 months. At some point, they get tired of it and they start going, maybe I need to do something else. But you can if you're not careful. And that's the transparency thing you talked about, is we better be careful if you're in any kind of quote public life. And as sales guys, that's what we are, right? We're out there.
Right.
You go to trade shows, and you know this as well as I. You're not just on stage when you're on the trade show floor. You're on stage at 1:45 at the local pub having a glass of wine, right?
Right.
People are seeing you. People are seeing who you're with. They're hearing the stuff you say. So if you're sitting over there and you're bad mouthing this or bad mouthing that, cussing and swearing, oogling the local bar girls, whatever you're doing, that's being seen all day long, or that we saw all day long. And you could lose that customer someday and not even know that was the reason why. Right?
Absolutely. And that's why, as Eric says here, misery loves company, and so does positivity. And it's really about who are you keeping in your company, just like you talked about those 5 people that you become most like in transparency and discretion and everything we've been talking about today. So we've gone 29 minutes. I used to run the show longer. Now I run it about a half hour because I think people need more time to chew on things. So I want to hand it over to you, Randy, to give the viewers now and those watching on replay your thoughts about maturing in life and how you can embrace discretion, transparency, and moderation in a greater way, regardless of the past.
Wow. So you're making a big assumption that I've matured, which I have not. But I tell people, they say, where'd you grow up? I say, I haven't. But with that said, I think the key is once you decide that I'm going to live a life of positivity, and that doesn't mean negative things don't happen. It's just how do you handle the negative? How do you pull a win out of it and then put it on the win pile and move forward? And once you determine that I don't need to be liked by everybody, see, that's a problem that we talked about back earlier, and I kind of didn't think about it at the time, but there used to be a time, Sean, where I thought I had to be liked by everybody.
Yeah.
And I just have not, I don't have that need anymore. Is it a desire? I suppose we all want to be liked by everybody, but I don't have that as a need. It's not a high level need for me. I am who I am. I'm pretty transparent. You get what you get. I talk how I talk. I say what I say. And And so it's easy to be transparent wherever I go, because the Randy you see here tonight, the Randy you'll see on Friday on my show, the Randy you'll see when I'm at a customer outing next week, the Randy that you'll see at trade shows, it's the same all the time, because there's no more fake. I used to try to be a fake sales guy. We all
Right.
did at one time.
Everyone did.
And there is no fake Randy at all. I just am going to be who I am. Would like it if you like me. Would love if you buy from me. But I'm also not going to be fake just so you will. And I think if once you do that, you don't even have to try to be. Being transparent for me is easy. More than that, being positive is easy, because I have such a distaste for negative and for that feeling that it gives me. I'm real quick to toss that away. I'm going to roll that up. You know what I do with it? As just for me. When I have a negative, a loss, something that goes wrong, I try to pull the wins out of it, right? Put them on the win pile. And I have an apothecary in my mind. You know what apothecaries are?
Apothecaries are like where they make the drugs.
Yep, the old and they used to be in the old days. They'd have these apothecary shops, the whole walls, right, with all these little drawers and little keys on them, and the ladder sometimes go back and forth. And the pharmacists go up and get out, little drugs and mix them and do whatever he did. So in my mind, I have an apothecary shop that when I pull the wins out of this loss, I literally in my mind walk up that ladder, put it in the apothecary drawer, lock it, walk back down, walk out in the street, and drop it in the sewer, the key. Done. I'm done with it now. I do that in my mind every single time I have a negative thing that I want to get rid of. And it helps me just get rid of that and move on, because, I'm as positive as I probably come across and am. Believe me, I remember a trip, New York Thruway, somewhere between Albany and Syracuse, and I was so mad about just everything in the world. Just everything was irritating me, that I was talking to some manufacturer, things were messing up, and I threw my cell phone over my shoulder into the back seat, and then I can still hear him talking, and that was pretty stupid, because now I got to stop beside the freeway and try to dig the phone out from under the seat, right? But so nobody, as positive as they may be, is immune to that. You just got to recognize when that little negative guy creeps into your mind. You got to smack him in the nose and say, "Get out of my life," because I'm not going to do that. I don't want to participate.
And that's why it's so important that, you hear people talk about what you eat, okay, to have your body be where it needs to be. And you're one of the most fit people I know, with all your walking, and you eat well. And yet people don't necessarily think about what are they watching. There's a reason, if it's called binge watching, binging is not a good thing. And what are you reading? What are you listening to? So as a final point, I throw that out to people, that's all part of it too, because that will let the negative guy in.
Yep. You got to kick him out quick, and you got to invite the little positive guy and have him sit down for a glass of port. That's the difference, right?
Absolutely. Kim Hubbs.
What?
There he is, the man, the legend. Good to see you, Kim.
It is great.
Was wondering the other day, whatever happened to Kim Hubbs? And here he is. We're going to need to catch up, Kim. All right, everyone. Randy, thank you so much for being my guest today on Litvak Leadership Live, where we discussed living the life of discretion, transparency, and moderation. You've always got great things to say. You've got incredible insight, and I know that you're a family man, and it definitely shows in what you have to say.
Well, thank you, man. It's a pleasure to be on, as always. You're a champ.
Right. Everyone, that's Litvak Leadership Live. We'll be back next week with our guest, Barry Butler, and we're going to talk about why you must choose the life of moderation. That's all for now. Be happy, be well, and like I say in my other videos, be blessed in all you do. See ya.